last example today is a student initiative cooperation with a high school in Uppsala. And this sort of shows another way that students can be active and just connecting higher education with society. And also, as we perceive it from SIMS, it's a way to just reach out and show what is a student in sustainable development, for example. And it's a good way of reaching out to high schools and also perhaps creating new pathways for them to actually arrive at Uppsala University at some time. So this is something that I think a lot of people are looking at in Uppsala right now. Just these sort of role models for younger kids connected to higher education. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Maybe we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Satsuko. We're all in the master's program in sustainable development. So we partly were studying CMIS as well, which has been coming up quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your name?
Satsuko? Yeah.
Hey, I'm Tuya. I'm also in the same program. I'm from Mongolia.
Yeah, and Jesse from France.
Yeah, I'm from Japan.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I guess welcome everybody. Thank you for the two previous groups for the really interesting lectures. I think there's a lot that we can discuss about because I feel to a certain extent some of these subjects or areas really intersect and really could, benefit for more discussions.
Yeah. Maybe we could say like a couple of words about how we came up, why we do this, and how we come up with this maybe. I mean, in the beginning it was from the master students. We tried to find way out to reach more students, more younger kids, to empower them and to talk about more sustainable development. Then we happened to get more people and create an organization called Ekolibria, and so far it's been running for a year. Our project delivering lectures in high school. Yeah.
We usually always start with a bit of a story. Do you know Wangari Maathai, Nobel Prize winner 2004? She's been working with the Green Belt movement, women empowerment and so on. And she has this, I think and we think, really relevant story talking about engagement. Have you heard about the story of the hummingbird or the colibri? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Yes. You can still tell it then.
Yeah.
It goes like this. It's the story of this really big forest. One day there is a fire, a massive fire. It eats all the trees, all the animals' houses away. In panic, the animals run around, they don't know where to go. They're just really powerless in front of this massive fire they just can't do anything about. So as they run away, they end up being cornered by this little stream, and they turn around, look back at the forest being eaten away, and every animal, the elephant, the lion, the monkey, they're just there sitting powerless. Everybody except one little hummingbird. And that one is just flying around. He or she goes to the stream, gets some water, goes and spit it on the fire. One thing at a time. And then the elephant is like, what are you doing, hummingbird? This is just useless. You have a small beak, your wings are going to burn. And without losing a beat, the hummingbird turns around and says, well, at least I'm doing my bit. And I guess the story of the hummingbird is a bit like the story of Ekolibria, in the sense that we really strongly believe in student engagement with the local community in regards to sustainable development issues. And we'll tell you more a bit about it now. So, well, this provides the backbone, our vision. We obviously, as we said, look at students, and what we're trying to foster. We talk about knowledge, attitudes, values, skills, to be able to better take part in the future building of society. We will be society soon, later. And I think really empowering us and giving us the space to better be able to address the sustainability issues is really important for us. So how do we do this?
So from now, we can just shortly explain how we usually do this. Usually we're a group of students, around 10-15 people right now. And we develop educational material, perform lectures and workshops around the topic of sustainability, sustainable development issues in a holistic and participatory way. This is what we're trying to achieve And actually what we're doing is going out to gymnasiums. Maybe Bert, a teacher from Rosendal Gymnasium, from very close by, might make it to this session. But we're partnering with some gymnasiums in Uppsala. And what we try to do is that to perform or to deliver some kind of workshops to enable participatory learning in that classroom about the topic of sustainability. And through doing this, we start to know, to learn that we learn so much when we teach. So when we look into the topic, when we think, okay, what kind of methods are going to engage the students, what would they be interested in, which way would we approach it, what questions should we ask? When we start doing this, we learn so much more than we just sit in a classroom or a big lecture hall and listen to a professor talk about a topic. So we try to frame this that we are achieving a co-learning space. And we try to empower the gymnasium students in the classroom to change their type of education and to change their actions towards sustainability. So we're trying to empower them, but also we're trying to empower ourselves in the universities as active learners and active students. And a little bit more about how we do this. So usually Ekolibria forms a working group. So we schedule a time with the gymnasium, so like February 12th. We have 2 hours in an English lecture or a geography lecture. So we form a working group, and so we decide with the teacher in the gymnasium what kind of topics they would be interested in. So popular topics would be food, agriculture, sustainable lifestyles, climate change, water issues. And then, so maybe 3 or 4 in Ekolibria will form a working group and research about the topic and start brainstorming what kind of outline we would like to have within the 2 hours or whatever framework, and explore the different methods. And so Ekolibria, now something like 15 students, we present it to the entire group so that we can get feedback on the topic, content. Is there any topics that are missing, or is it relevant for information? How about these kind of methods, like how about calculating your footprint, carbon footprint, water footprint, if some of you are familiar with those issues, to make it personalize those issues. So we get this kind of working process, and this learning process and this feedback process continues also when we perform the lectures and workshops. And these are kind of the key words that we try to achieve or put in practice in the classroom: to be problem-based, participatory, holistic, interdisciplinary, so kind of across the subjects. Enhance critical thinking, try to get them to start questioning, and be experimental. We are also learning how we should do this as well. And we try to get as much feedback as possible from the students and the teachers. It's really usually hard to get the teachers to give you critical feedback, because they are like very Swedish, very kind, saying like, thank you so much for coming, that was excellent, but we need to push to get, okay, what could have been improved next time? Next time, do you want us to come again next semester? And to get those discussions going, okay, maybe next time we should have a meeting, a 1-hour meeting, to go over what we're going to do, and then get feedback from the teacher beforehand, etc. And one method we specifically use with the students is called the exit ticket. We pass out small sticky note-sized papers and ask them to write one thing you liked or learned from today, and one thing you think that could be improved. And so this way we try to keep this learning process going continuously through the process.
Yeah. As Ekolibria, we try to fill these 2 gaps, and these 2 gaps have been identified by the project implementation of ESD in Sweden. And first gap is that the researches that has done in the university takes much longer time to be transferred in the high schools and actually to be delivered in practice. So having us as a master students actually sitting there, it gives us a chance, and also a chance to fill this gap by just delivering what we have just learned, freshly learned, and we have a chance to utilize this and deliver it. Second one is the gap between the capacity and practice of ESD in classroom, meaning that since education for sustainable development is such a broad project, broad topic, it covers a lot of different topics, which doesn't really fit into the specific topics that covers in the high school, like math, geography, English, and then you have chemistry, biology, and they just cannot find anyone who's actually responsible for getting these things like sustainability issues integrated in the program. So us coming from the university, from the master's program, trying to deliver this holistic and different topics that covers actually different issues, we are trying to fill this gap that is missing in the system. And obviously, as Ekolibria members, as a master students, we try to improve our pedagogical skills and our public speaking communications, and also getting more people in the team, also utilizing their skills, helping them to improve their skills of speaking, and also preparing different types of educational materials too. And last but least, by doing this, we are really hoping that we will also create more change actors, that they will also be empowered and really want to change things on their own way. They also want to become active and do things in their community and in general, like that. And we also have some photos of some sessions that we've been doing in Roosendaal. Is it in Roosendaal?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The topics that we've been covering, like energy, we try to cover like just normal fossil fuel energy in comparison to renewable energy. Like Ula was there, he was covering energy topic. So we tried to recruit more students from different master's program as well as in our master's program. And Sachi was talking about permaculture. Yeah, different topics that we've been covering. Do you guys want to say something on it?
Yeah, we are a little bit, or maybe we can talk more about, these are more pictures of a little bit, the three pictures here are a little bit more traditional lecture style, or presentation style, we should say, and then have like interactive discussions in between. But we also do more interactive workshop style, which we don't have much pictures of, but for example, these pictures are from a conference we went to in Riga last December, a conference on ESD, and we were able to, we had the opportunity to hold a workshop, and with the participants we brainstormed, what was the question that we posed?
How to increase youth involvement in education for sustainable development.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we use different methods to develop ideas in the room. We really just presented the question and then get their ideas and try to develop their ideas. So trying to have interactive workshops, this is just one example, but for example, calculating your own food, water footprint or carbon footprint of your life. We did, if the world were a class of 33 people rather than a village of 100 people, if you guys are familiar with that workshop or story. So different kind of things, and maybe Jesse, you can talk about the
Sure.
project?
Yeah, was it last week? No, the week before.
10 days ago.
10 days ago, we went to Roosendaal Gymnasiet, where Bert, the teacher that will be coming soon, comes from and works at. It's really interesting. It's a 3-day event where 160 students across different disciplines are put together, divided into 4 different groups, 40 students for one city. The city has a specific characteristics in terms of the amount of energy it receives from the sun, geographical characteristics, if there's water, food, and so on. And they have 3 days to make the city sustainable for 500 years. And that's a really exciting project. When we went there last year, we thought that we should have something like this in our master's program, because that's an we actually put into practice what we've been learning. So the reason why we are there as Ekolibria is to deliver, I guess, inspiring lectures into different subjects. So We had 8 different subjects going from transportation, waste management to food, agriculture and so on. And it's really exciting. I think as students you actually feel useful because you've been learning so much and you just stay in the classroom otherwise. You don't really have a chance to actually speak with other students that can be excited about stuff. So yeah, if more students want to join, you're more than welcome. And yeah, I think this is it.
Yep. So just a few more slides of this is the website. Visit us on the website and please like us on Facebook or send us an email if you have ways or ideas, people that you think that would be interested to send a lot of information to us. We are right now in process of registering as an NGO. And we have a lot of exciting things also coming up, and as 3 of us, we are graduating this semester, so hopefully we will get to continue with this project after we graduate and develop this into something really more sustainable and collaborate with more schools, not just interested progressive schools, but actually schools that will not have the resources or ideas to do this. So if you have names of schools that you think would be interested, also researchers, teachers, methods, students, anything, we are really appreciate your ideas.
Yeah, any students from any disciplines that is interested in delivering any type of topic you're interested in can come to us.
And then we thought, I guess in true style Ekolibria, I would say, why don't we actually start a discussion? We haven't really talked about how we could do that. Either we could do small groups, have a small chat about ASP, or should we just open the floor for some questions first and then see where it leads afterwards? Floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, these are some questions that we thought might be interesting to explore, but maybe any other questions are also welcome.
Let me just make a point, because I was visiting the humanities and a study director meeting, and I was telling them about your initiative, and they were thinking about, okay, how can our students go out to schools, and maybe telling them what is my favorite thing about history or art or philosophy, and just the feeling that the students would grasp what the subject was about in a different way, and this would be an excellent way to attract students, just increasing applications for, especially for topics or subjects that are not that concrete, like sustainable development. What is that about? It's not teaching, it's not engineering, it's something else. So I think this is an excellent way of just showcasing what it can be about. And a second way, I just think it's a terrific way of, as this is almost a part of the master's program, say at CMAS, there's a lot of people at least that's engaged. So this is also creates a space for them to try what they're learning and also see what can I do, what I like to do, and start communicating with people, and also I might like to become a teacher and all these things. So I think this fills a very important function that is lacking in some subjects in higher education. And in that sense, it's very interesting.
Well, like someone mentioned earlier, I think it's the idea of learning by doing or learning by teaching. We get so much more of a deep understanding of our issue or the subject that we really are interested already in the first place. Where do we go there? And when actually other students come and ask you about this question, you're like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about this actually. So it's a really good reflexive exercise, and it really trains you as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But also I feel like sometimes when you go to high schools, since we are almost about the same age, they don't really feel like so pressured, they cannot ask any questions or so on. But it's more of a friendly environment. They're really very chill, so they feel like they can ask any type of question. Oh, what about this? What about that? So, yep. Please.
I think what's exciting about your project is the opportunity for this to be a two-way learning experience. So the actual task that you're going out and doing within schools in itself is really interesting. But I don't know how it is in Sweden, but certainly in the UK and very much so in the US, actually the movement around student voice is probably most active in school, in primary and high school. And I think we in higher education are notoriously bad at looking at other primary and secondary education sectors to learn lessons from there. So I'm interested if you have experienced any of that, where you see that students within secondary schools actually have more experience or exposure to being involved and empowered in their own education, and what learning we could maybe bring in from working within schools. And I think that I was having a conversation earlier about, you know, how do we set the expectations that this is the way we're going to do things when you come to university. And I almost wonder if young people in schools are having the opportunity to get involved. They always have to, they go through a period of unlearning when they come to university, and then they might, if they're lucky, come across something like active student participation projects. But, you know, I think, that's me rambling, sorry. I think what I'm saying is that schools, we could learn a lot from schools as well as offer a lot for them. I'm just interested if you picked up on any of that.
I guess the cities project that Jesse was mentioning earlier in Roosendaal was a perfect example, where Roosendaal was, the gymnasium was doing a 3-day project for their natural science students, second year. That was very problem-based and very creative, very demanding actually, if you look at the instructions, like calculate and figure out how you're gonna sustain and feed the population for 500 years, something like that. And then we were reflecting back to our master's program, what we need this kind of education, like where we actually produce something rather than like just digest something and create something that's actually applicable to real life situations. So I think we learned a lot from what they are doing, definitely, especially Roosendaal has a specialization in their 3rd year called sustainability. So they are really doing a lot, reading literature that we also read in our master's program. So inviting lecturers that are the same lecturers. So they are doing a lot, we learned a lot from them. We really need to learn more and more. There's a lot out there that we don't know, and a lot of us are actually international students, so that is actually one barrier that we're trying to go through, but I think we learn a lot and we try to keep that going as a process, I think.
But definitely that Roosendaal is one of the most progressive high school in Uppsala when it comes to sustainability. So it might not be right to generalize it like as other schools would be as progressive. So we all know that is the school for sustainability. But from that would be a great example of what we have learned so far from the schools. But wouldn't be probably won't be the same when it comes to other schools.
Maybe it's time for feedback.
There should be coffee
on this side, yeah.
On this side, yeah, we can look at them while they drink coffee. And then we can just walk in. So we can just get some feedback, and we can also start interacting between the different rooms and see what they're talking about. And I think these questions we can come back to.
Sure.
And the next session starts at 15:15, and that is the session with Catherine and also the youth chair. Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, and thank you again.
Thank you.